Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. One of the most satisfying aspects of a Trump win, regardless of how you voted or where you stand on the political spectrum, well, it's the hysterical reactions. And it's not just the chuckleheads on MSNBC who continue to lose their minds. And by that, they are giving us daily gifts of their insanity and inability to cope. But certainly, they're not the only ones. Whenever a Republican wins a presidential cycle, there is the predictable movement of celebrities pre election who promise to leave the country if said Republican is in fact elected. That happened in 2016 and 2020, and certainly this time around. And I invite them all to leave. I don't have a problem with them taking their talents elsewhere. Good luck with that. It's actually harder to leave the country and become a citizen of another country than you might think, because most places have much stricter border control and immigration measures than we do here in the United States. But good luck, and don't let the door hit you with a Lord split you. But the most interesting group of election hysterics has to be the radical feminists who are following in the footsteps of a South Korean movement known as 4B, or the Four No's. And because Trump was elected, and obviously women will have to become indentured servants to their husbands in forced marriages, there has to be a pushback on the patriarchy. I mean, that's a pretty natural reaction. So in South Korea, for, various reasons, according to New York Times reporting, there was a movement to shun dating, sex, marriage, and childbirth, saying no to all four of those societal pillars because somehow it's going to make you a better and happier person. So that's what radical feminists have decided to do to culturally appropriate a movement they don't really understand and become a bunch of angry and hysterical man-haters. So now they're taking themselves out of the dating pool. They're not having sex. They're not dating. They're not getting married. And they have sworn off having kids. And at first, I was like, wow, you guys are a bunch of shrieking knobs. And then I realized that they're really doing everyone a favor. And, part of this movement is they're going to their gynecologist and they're getting birth control to protect themselves from sex they're not having, I suppose. And they're also taking self-defense and boxing classes because men are going to be so mad that they're no longer on the market, that they're not going to be able to control their man rage, and they're just going to beat them up everywhere they see them. So, and some of these radical feminists are also shaving their heads. So they are letting men know very clearly who the nut broads are among us. So they can go ahead and stay away from them.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
So at first I was like, well, why would you want to do that? Why would you, unless you are a Buddhist monk, why would you want to live a sexless, lonely life without the prospect of the most humanizing aspect for many women, which is having a child and, the process of gestation and labor and delivery and then raising that child? Why would you want to deny yourself that? And then I thought about it a little bit differently. First of all, the dating pool is already sort of polluted and it's very scary. And everyone who is single has terrifying stories about going out on dates with absolute psychos. I've been on a few of these. And also being ghosted by people, being love bombed, whatever term of endearment they're using for dating at this point in our cultural history. A lot of people have been subjected to that, and it's very frustrating. So if you take all the crazy women out of it, it makes it much better for the women who are left who still have hair on their heads. So they're the ones letting men know, we're not going to poop in your taco meat if you break up with us, and we're not going to have sex with your boss. We'll probably have a pretty rational reaction. We might be a little heartbroken and we might say mean things about you to our friends, but we're not going to try and kill you through fecal E. coli. So, but the women who are shaving their heads, the ones who are that rageful and that irrational, stop dating, stop having sex, and certainly don't have kids, because you know what kids need? They need moms who teach them emotional regulation. And a lot of the lessons that we impart to our children, we do so by example. So if you can't regulate your own emotions, if you think it's a good idea to divide us between genders, chosen or otherwise, it's like men bad, women victims, then you should not be dating. You should not be marrying, and you certainly should not be procreating, because the world doesn't need insane, hysterical mothers. The world needs moms who are warriors, who look out for their kids, who know how to play a little defense, but also know how to set good examples and care for and nurture their children, in a job that is exhausting and at times thankless, but certainly selfless. And women who are this self involved, they really don't need to take part in that most critical process in society. So please, if you're tempted to abide by the four B's, that you probably couldn't even name the four B's, but the four no's. If you think that throwing yourself into that stinky swamp of and misandry is going to help you and help society, then go ahead and do it. Take yourselves out of everything and just go be lonely cat ladies that JD Vance actively despises. You'll find a lot of company for your misery, and you'll make things a lot better for the women who are left out there to fight the good fight in the single life, who will hopefully have children of their own one day, to whom they can teach emotional regulation and not hysteria when something as stupid as an election doesn't go their way. And if all else fails, well, go ahead and move to Eritrea. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app. Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.